for another episode of the PEBAheads podcast. And we've got three of us here tonight, three of the four. We got some nice topics that aren't too controversial. We're going to get into. We're going to talk about some of the best players in the league, some of our own team's biggest disappointments on the season so far. Then we're going to go back in time to the 2037 draft and kind of try to determine what was in the water with all of these pitching prospects. A lot of people know the big names. There's definitely a lot of them early on in the draft, but as you go through down the line, there were some real hidden gems that are starting to make an impact at the PEBA level. And then we'll look, since the All-Star break is here tonight, we're going to get into just kind of looking at some of the top teams around the league and kind of similar to our contender-pretender discussion at the beginning of the year. And then we'll try to get a recap of the drunken episode last time that I missed out on because I'm still trying to figure out what the hell happened there, guys. So without further ado, how's it going?
We're good.
It's going great.
How are you, Mike?
I'm doing good. I got my beverage.
Yeah, I got mine too.
Got my beverage. Got my hat on to kind of one final shout out to the last podcast where we got a little silly, trying to keep it a little bit more controlled this time. Not too controlled, but a little bit more. We'll see how that goes though.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Already almost done with my first one, so yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I know. Me too. This is gonna be great, Sean. I'm so excited that you're back.
Well, I put a full thing of seeds in my mouth before I started talking, so that was a real genius.
If that's the biggest problem we have, we're gonna be just fine.
Yep. I do want to mention, since both of you are Cubs fans, that I have my Paul Goldschmidt jersey on today in celebration of the Cardinals passing the Cubs in the wild card standing. So
yeah, we're playing.
It might be only one day this year, but
I was real excited to. I was considering throwing on my World Series cap, but I figured since we horrendously lost to the Brewers again today, I would kind of just ignore that and focus on the drinking instead.
Yeah, I was considering throwing myself in front of a bus, but we're good. But I had to record this, so PEBA saves the day again.
Well, anytime the Brewers Cubs play and the Brewers win, it's really good for L flag sales for me. So, thank you for your sacrifice today.
Yeah, let's start the topic. So,
all right. So yeah, Lenny,
our
who do you think the best player in the league is?
Me?
Or do you have players? Yes.
Yes, go first. This is just default.
Oh god.
You're to my left. So
we're already developing habits. I think it's pretty. It's a coin flip, depending on the year. But I'm even though Vito's having an amazing year, it's not for me. I think Gordon is the best player in the league, primarily because of his position. How do you? I mean,
has got to be the easiest.
A true center fielder, a 10. I mean, I got excited when I got like a 7, and he won't make it out of the rookie league probably. So, yeah, I get angry every time I see him, and that's usually a good sign that he's really good. Yeah, that's my pick. Easy breezy, not exciting. So I'm going to try and not get excited this round. So the more calm I am.
Well, I know with Knopp, when Jay was talking about, trading one of the 3 players, I thought it was interesting that he even listed Knopp as one of the 3 because I don't know how you could honestly offer anywhere close to what his real value is to a team, because really when you start getting into it, I'm going to pull up here I've got my head scout on now, but OSA and my scout appear to be right in line with Gordon Knopp. But I was going to throw up the just league-wide center field stats here quick, and just so show people like how ridiculous if they haven't seen it before. There are good center fielders in the league, but when it comes to everyone's favorite topic, WAR, he's like he's at 7.6 already this year, and the second place center fielder is our good old buddy Burrow from Crystal Lake at 3.8. So, I mean, when you're almost like, well, that is double. When you're double,
Yeah, that
you're
is exactly double.
second best person. It's hard at a premium position like that. It's nuts that the game even created a player like that.
That, it's interesting because I was just thinking that this was like like Madden stats or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this game is that you don't see a lot of that. And I remember when Jay put the guys on the block, with all three of them, I mean, even with the high draft picks, with money, with everything I had, I didn't even know how to go about asking. And I knew Jay, and I talked to Jay all the time. And I was like, I don't even know how to ask him how to approach that. How do you put value on Gordon? Like, you can't,
Offer up at least 15 WAR worth of players or something like that. So what is that? 3 prospects,
Yeah.
3 huge prospects,
Yeah.
potentially, and
and probably more
that's
depth pieces on top of it,
and hoping that even hits to begin with. It would have to, I don't know, more PEBA ready players, and you would have to unload your farm because this isn't even a conversation of who's the best in the league. It's just a conversation about Gordon Knopp because that's what it is. It's like you said, Lenny, premium position. He's absolutely astonishing at it. He's got already 4 of the all leather awards. He's obviously won the best player Royal Raker award multiple times, all-star pretty much nonstop. He bats an average of 340. It's like, are you kidding me? I mean, this guy is it's ridiculous. It's on average 24 home runs, pretty much 100 RBI, batting almost 340. It's just, this guy he breaks the game. I don't get it.
I mean, and he even overcomes his huge weakness of bunt for a hit. I mean, the main stat I look for in a player, with a 1. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Like, gives a shit. No, Sean, do you have any other option other than him?
He was going to be the obvious one. I tried going through while we were talking. I was pulling up the pitching leaders just to see it. Okay, is there some pitcher that is just above and beyond better? And probably over a longer period, you could identify one. Right now, there's a group of 3 that are all right around the 4 WAR mark, which, I mean,
it's pretty high at this point.
It's high for pitching.
That is high
at this point of the year. But my problem with pitching is just that it's once every 5 days. Like, yes, you need, if you have a true ace that can anchor your rotation, it's huge. In a short series, even a longer series in the playoffs, you got a guy that you can go 2 games that that you're pretty confident you're going to win. That's a huge advantage. But I still think that the not factor there's no one close. I've even tried, we were talking to kind of go through position by position to try to see, all right, maybe if we isolate it down, maybe there's another guy that stands out.
I mean, let's do this to make good TV, because I don't think this is a great topic, but I don't think we thought about how clear it was. If Gordon didn't exist, who is it?
Well, actually, I just found a guy.
Who?
Vito Van Wandel.
Well, then okay. And
but
then,
I mean,
exactly.
If we go back to pitching,
and
Scott's not here, I would have picked Ojeda. Ojeda is on pace to probably mirror close to numbers of Marcus Hancock or even Mayor Corona or some of the kind of like big legends from early in the league. So he's got some comparables to me that are going to just propel him into the future, as one of those kind of surefire first ballot Hall of Famers. he's just so consistent, low threes in the ERAs always. I mean, just on average over 200 strikeouts. It's kind of everything you want to see.
Yeah.
8 to 9K per nine. His walks are low. His home runs are low. ERA plus is pretty solid every single year. He's pretty dominant. I mean, it's reflective of the fact that he won the Golden Arm 3 years in a row. So is he going to win more as long as Scott can keep supporting him? Yeah, I think he's going to continue to win at least a couple more. So he's going to be up there as probably, in my opinion, one of the all-time best pitchers in the future. But I guess to Sean's point, does that really compare to to Gordon Knopp's
No.
almost twice WAR output every single year because he does it at both sides on the plate and in the field? No, but from a pitcher perspective, I think he's probably one of the most dominant right now, easily.
Yeah.
There was one guy when we were just kind of shooting the shit around on Knopp. I started going through just kind of looking position by position, and I hadn't realized this, but this Moncolo Carvallis from Tempe. Look at the, WAR difference here between him and the second highest person. I mean, there's a pretty considerable gap there. That'd be a second base is one of those positions that you can get people fired up about on its importance, but because I know some people are all in on defense at that spot. Other people feel like you can if you get a guy with a plus bat that's average on defense, you get an advantage there. But this Carvallis guy,
second base from Bakersfield altogether.
He appears to be one of those. I mean, steals a ton of bases. Not going to kill you on defense. Probably not going to win a Gold Glove there, but he's young and he's putting up the numbers. So
yeah, there you go.
There's one. I mean, we can go
nice
through
little discovery
and just see like third base if there's anybody that stands out.
He's pretty cheap too. Still, he's still got it arbitration to go.
Yeah,
that's good to know.
Yeah, you get to deal with him forever.
Man, that's what you call a good second baseman. That's
thanks, Mike.
Then you got Vito, of course, above and beyond what everyone else has at third right now. And that's another. I mean, the crazy thing about him is just how ridiculous he is on offense. But
I mean, look at that.
It's just
3 10s and 2 9s.
Nuts.
It's not right.
Honestly, the thing that's always surprised me, I think we talked about this on one of the podcasts last year, Michael, but it surprises me because with these ratings, you look at his numbers and they're great, but honestly, I expected more.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing more this year.
He's definitely doing more this year, but it's like, why is he not batting 450 and hitting like 70 home runs and 200 RBI? Like,
it makes me question the overall ratings of everybody, because you start seeing guys that, this guy hit 50 home runs, and it's like, well, he's got years where he's put up some great numbers, but he's a 10 contact with 9 power and has a year where he puts up 20 in 121 game. Like, how does that happen? Like,
well, I mean, it does happen in real life, but not quite that.
Yeah. How has he not eclipsed 50 yet? That's to me the big question. Like, at least once. I mean, come on.
One thing I've never looked at with him, and I think it's a good time to bring it up, and maybe if I can figure out how to do it, but intentional walks. I wonder how many. I mean, it's not like he's even getting, he's not getting the Bonds treatment. Like,
no. Which you would think.
You would think he would, but maybe that's just
do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he's walking, where you would expect for someone with an eye that high. It might be a little bit more, but yeah, it's just crazy. I've always thought that's crazy about him.
It's good, but it almost seems pedestrian.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing. It's clearly he's better than like all the other players, but it still doesn't. You would expect more.
You would.
Well, because I mean, it's not a knock on like someone like Aranda here, but you're telling me a guy that has 10s and 9s all across the board is gonna like it's hard to kind of gauge that whole of just like make it make sense. And I realize that, certain ratings for certain things like contact, they're not equal like on their impact across the board, but you would like to think if something is a 10 versus a 7 that there would be considerable difference there.
Yeah,
I guess is where it always kind of stands out for me. Let's see if there's any shortstops. Another one that's kind of interesting, but Zambrano from the Ghosts always is high up on that list. I know he's an MVP candidate almost every year that he's been in the league. I know he's won some. Yeah, it looks like 2036 he won a couple playoff series MVPs. Was that the year they won? Yep, that was the year they won.
The issue for him is he was kind of held back because he had Ortiz.
Yep.
And now Ortiz is gone. So now he gets to shine a little bit brighter.
Yeah.
Where's Ortiz at?
Yeah, where did he end up?
Where'd he end up?
What happened to him?
He's playing.
He's
playing.
I didn't see him on the list.
He's doing very well, just not as well in that department.
Okay.
So he's not hitting the cover off the ball, which is what he's known for. But he's way more than making up for what I need as a shortstop, because I've historically had a really crappy shortstop one. Obviously, like center field, one of the hardest positions to fix and to get somebody that you can trust into there. So I'm happy for what he's doing. He's totally outperforming any shortstop I've had, offensive and defensively. What I like is home run numbers to be a little bit higher. Yeah, but I also have my team structured in a way that I probably have too many home runs hitters, and it's probably negatively impacting me. So
it's funny that you say that, because I've only had one drink, and the last time you said that I had 3, and I'm equally as mad at you in both phases. When you say that I have too many home runs. I have too many home runs.
I mean, we've seen it. I think, Sean, you've had that problem. I know that Matt in Okinawa had that problem. He built his team originally a little too home run heavy. I probably built my team a little too home run heavy now, and it does not work. It definitely impacts you. Just expecting to hit home runs nonstop. It's great. Ooh, I'm number 2, but I've been number 1 for the longest time, and it's like it doesn't help, because if you guys aren't getting on base and everyone's just trying to hit a home run, bunch of 1 home runs with nobody on base doesn't really do much for you. So
yeah, we're built run home heavy. They just want to go home after the game and cry. So, but yeah. So it's Gordon, right?
Far and away Gordon. I think there's plenty of good other players.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would go with Aheda from a pitching side.
Yeah.
At least in recent history, who is probably going to have a very nice long career. And we can start, picking hairs about other guys, but they just haven't really shown out. I know Mike Roberts is looking a little weaker in Madison, but he's still a top-notch player, obviously. And there's guys peppered throughout, and we'll get to hopefully some future guys with our next topic. But yeah, you got to show that long-term consistency, and I don't think we have enough guys that historically have done that for longer than a couple of years at least.
Well, before we get to that topic, I want to touch back on, we'll go with you first, Michael. Is there a player on your team that is disappointing you so far this season? Not meeting your expectations?
Oh, yeah. Dennis the Don Johnson. He's complete. It seems like he's regressed this year. I don't know why. It's not hitting the home runs, not getting the RBIs. Average is even weaker. He's kind of been slumping this year a little bit harder than I would have liked. And just overall kind of regressing. I'm hoping it's just kind of, because as far as I can see it from what I've been noticing, yeah, there's been some scouting drops, but it's not anything hugely significant. And I'm hoping that it's just kind of some of that fluctuation from year to year. I know historically he's always had slow starts, but this is this is up there. And this is another one of those issues where I know I've had conversations with you, Sean, where maybe I have too many home run hitters. So it's like battling who's getting that prime spot and the 3 and 4 spot in the lineup. And if he gets edged out and he's got to potentially bat somewhere else deeper into the lineup, seventh, eighth, something. The guys just don't always work that way for whatever reason. Sometimes guys are coded where they need to be in specific spots. And I know that throughout the season, that's probably the thing I am messing with the most on a sim by sim basis. I'm constantly playing with the lineup, constantly checking how guys are batting against lefties, righties, where they are in the lineup, who's in front of them, who's in back of them. And I'm constantly playing with that. But yeah, it doesn't matter where I've put him so far this year. He's just been completely underperforming after signing his huge contract extension, which is still friendly, but definitely just disappointing to see that, hey, I just got paid, time to go sit on the bench and enjoy some margaritas and not really pay too much attention, which is exactly what he's doing. But yeah, Lenny, who is your who's your most underperforming player?
You think you know what I'm going to say.
I think you're going to purposely pick somebody else
Nah,
just so it doesn't have to be him.
I kind of have to pick someone else because if it was he who must not be named, it would be too easy. And actually, because Scott knows all, he has been turning it up a little bit to sweep Reno, by the way. Joe Riley turned it on. Oh, I just said his name. I'm gonna get sick. There's two actually, and that's cheating. And they're not really, I wasn't expecting them to do anything, but I expected, I'm gonna do two. I'm gonna cheat. Ernesto Machado, who is a huge part of that Mata trade, he was just hitting home runs like crazy in the minors, and he has been hitting crap. And he's too good to put into the minors, and I can't put him into the minors without him going through waivers. He'll get picked up. So he sits there and periodically hits something. And he's just doing jack.
I will say, at least from my point of view, he was looking pretty solid. And then for whatever reason, he's like one of those guys that this year, my scout just very, very unfavorable.
Well,
like
and
everything shit the bed.
About that. Like, that's what happened. Like, I picked him up in that trade. Everything looked great. He was ready to go. I put him on at the end of the year. He hit the crap out of the ball then a little bit. And he just is doing nothing. But the biggest disappointment is actually because he's in the minors making, for me, $3 million right now, which is a lot for me. Is Jose Maldonado. He can't even make it on the team. And I know he's pissed because he thinks he should be in the majors. He's only hitting 220 at AAA. So I can't even keep him up there. So I mean, the biggest disappointment, you can just go to my home screen and just do
the
that.
Whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing. I mean, other than Flores, who was just like, when are you gonna trade me, motherfucker?
Sean, go back to his player profile really quick. I want to point something out. This is one thing I love about OOTP.
I think I know where you're going with this. So
where are we going with this? I don't want to know.
So look on the right, personality. Jose shows no hustle, right? No hustle at all. And then for my guy, my scout's like, he dogs it too often. So I love that. I feel like every team's got a slight variation to say the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And I love that difference between everyone's game.
The guru, Scott, who's not with us today, now that I know that work ethic is the most important thing, no wonder he's a chump. So, yeah.
I mean, Lenny, anytime I draft, that's like one of the first filters I do is anyone with a low work ethic, I turn off. I'm like, I don't even care about them. I'll draft them if there's absolutely nobody left and we're talking like 500th guy and I'm struggling to get somebody. But I tend that and like intelligence. Those are two of the filters I turn off right away. And I'm like, I don't want to draft anybody with low ratings there.
No. So while you're doing yours, I'm going to go find somebody who has low work ethic, who's amazing. All right, so you go. I'm going to do some research.
I just thought it was funny with Maldonado that it says he has no hustle, but then it says his strongest aspects were things that you normally would need to hustle at, like running the
Yeah,
bases,
he's fast as
stealing
hell.
bases, and
Yeah,
playing
like I said,
defense.
He's a
run home.
speedster.
He has no hustle, but his strongest things are the things you need hustle for.
Oh my gosh, the irony is palpable. All right, go ahead,
Well,
Mike.
yeah, I'll give you mine real
Why I
quick
dig. I'm gonna dig the
while
piggy.
you find this guy.
Please do.
Oh, I will.
My big one is Eric Nelson, and most of it is derived from just how ridiculous of a year he had last year. And I didn't expect that he would come anywhere close to it, but I was expecting, close to where his career numbers lie. Now, the home runs have been good. The extra base hits are kind of in line with some of his averages in the past, but his much like your player, Michael Johnson, he started off really slow. He's starting to get warm, but no way you're going to get anywhere close to 10 more like you did last year.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you still got the positive WAR. He's still contributing. He's still playing defense. He's still doing some of those other things, stealing a couple bags. He's got a good steal percentage, all of that. But hitting home runs. But yeah, he can't, for a guy with 8 contacts, per OSA and everything. It's you're hitting 214. That's like Johnson's like, what are you doing hitting 220? It's like, come on, it's your contact's not 4. I have seen guys with 4 contact that are hitting more than you. It doesn't make any sense.
That's the part where, and kind of going back to our other conversation with Nop, where it's like, okay, how does a guy with a 4 contact be putting up better numbers than like an Eric Nelson right now? He's not been hurt. He has okay health status. It's not like he's been on and off battling injuries. There's nothing there. I know that people are like, oh, his adaptability's low, his work ethic's low. Well, that didn't hurt him last year, so that doesn't. I would think the adaptability
Hold
would
on.
have.
I'm gonna steal your thunder, Lenny. Can I steal your thunder?
Here's your work ethic guy, right?
I mean, I didn't even have to look. I'm looking, and he pulls one up. A guy who hit 37.
Last year he was incredible, but yeah, I mean this year maybe he's taking the year off because he's got terrible work ethic.
So I extended him. Maybe he just got comfortable. It was all because he was trying to get that contract extension.
Yeah, well, and now you're talking now is when we could use Scott. Is the game that smart to go, it's a bad year? They have bad years. They how many times have the Cubs got rid of somebody or signed someone, that's supposed to be an awesome player, and shows up and is a chump and never has that year again.
I'm looking at you, Alfonso Soriano.
Yeah, you son of a bitch.
No.
Oh my gosh. I know you both being Cubs fans will appreciate this because it's probably you lived it, but I just remember all my friends that are Cubs fans, when the Cubs signed Soriano, it was going to be.
Oh, is it?
He had 40 home runs and over 40 steals in the season. Yeah. No one's ever.
Well, and then I know
he's going to be our guy, and then they have him leading off and hitting solo home runs.
Exactly. And it was primarily injury stuff, but then Wooden Pryor, in particular, Pryor just went boom. We were supposed to be good for 10 years.
Yeah.
We were supposed to be good for 10 years when we won the World Series. We're going to win multiple World Series. And one and done.
This is just.
But then you look at Chris Bryant, who's barely relevant now.
Yeah. True.
I mean, so
he got clunked in the face. That guy took a beating when he was on the Cubs. So I'm not surprised that he's falling apart. It's
it's a mental thing. But to bring it back into the game,
bring it back to the PEBA world here.
Is the PEBA world is a game that smart that it evolves? Are these guys that have 4s now? Are they developing into something special? And is that going to change, or that kind of stuff? So
I think there is some of that. I've noticed guys before they get their random boost, you'll start seeing output on some of them start going up, and then I know the spreadsheet crowd will identify guys like that and then make them a target. So if you ever have a guy on your team and you start getting people asking about him, you're like, why the hell would they want this guy? There's probably a reason why, and that's probably why.
I think Scott was that the drunk episode, because Scott
was talking about that last time.
Yeah, there you go. See, I can't even remember the episode, and I edited it. Jesus.
But I do think there is something to that. I also think that there are I think like with Nelson in particular, the contract year thing is a thing.
Uh-huh.
I think it is a thing. So I wouldn't be surprised next year for Nelson to be more backed by his career numbers because just he got the money and then it's kind of fine. So I need to keep that in the back of my head when I extend him the next time, like how far or like what can you expect? But same time, it's like you said, Michael, he's still producing. Like it's not like he's doing like totally dropped off a cliff type of scenario. It's just that I thought he would have a bigger role in the team. But at the same time, I have a guy, your former outfielder, Martinez. I think it's Martinez. Is that right? Let's see here. Yeah, Martinez, where when I first got him, his numbers the first season were just nowhere near what he had been producing for you. And this year, he's kind of had a more of a bounce back to around his career averages on things. And I get it, you get different parks, you get different teams that you're playing on the
Low
road,
adaptability. He
low
was still getting used
adaptability.
to the stadium and
Adaptability. Oh,
the club and
adaptability.
everything.
Oh, adaptability.
See, see, it rings true.
There are
Now he's
yeah,
batting
I know, but that is the
275.
point. That's what's so cool about it. Like, we're awful. Of course, Joe Riley isn't gonna. God, that's funny. Of course, he's not gonna play that good for me. He's like,
In
he's
year
there for
one.
the money. I paid him all that money. He said yes faster than I hit draft, and he's like, "I'll take that, you idiot." And now he's just like, this is great. It's warm in California.
Well, let's go on to our next topic. Hit the time machine. I'm sure Lenny will have some cool graphic here to take us back to the year 2037 and the draft of the pitcher. Now, I think Michael, you had said when we were talking about this offline, this was the Goater draft. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, this one was very front loaded, obviously, as well. So rounds 1 and 2, we saw lots of huge names. This is where Aaron Goder came from. I know like Shinseki's got Lee Baraclow and Robin Estrada, who was a part of that initial McCoy trade. There was a lot of big names, and there's even more. I think there's at least, I can't do the quick math here, but I'd probably say 15, 20 guys that are rated probably 3.5 to 5 stars. It was very front loaded, but surprisingly enough, I think some of the guys that are making the biggest impacts right now are guys that were drafted in like the 5th, 6th, 7th round. And obviously, this is a little bit of me kind of trumping up my own player who just started the All-Star game. And I see if for people trying to get a timestamp of when this is being recorded, Mike's going through the All-Star game right now, and my pitcher, Ken Stewart, La Flama Blanca from Kenny Powers, for people who aren't familiar. He started the game, gave up 2 runs, but he currently leads the IL as a starting pitcher. He's got one of the top ERAs. I think he's in the threat for the Triple Crown for pitching right now. He's probably like top 4 or 5 in strikeouts, top 4 or 5 in WAR, ERA, kind of all of that. So just here's a guy who I picked in the 6th round, 178th overall. Obviously, one thing I did do was I did send him to winter ball, added a 4th pitch, which was that knuckle curve that came out pretty solid, but he's high work ethic for you there, Lenny. He's been working out real nice, and rookie season, he has, you know, knock on wood, potential to walk away with the rookie of the year award and potentially the pitcher of the year award if he can stay consistent going forward. And to like flip the script, you go over to, I believe it's Okinawa.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so Okinawa's got the samurai slinger over there, Hayakawa, who's just, I mean, pretty much a duplicate, looks exactly the same. Drafted in the 8th round. Similar setup. He sent him to Winter Ball, I believe, I don't remember if he sent him to Winter Ball for another pitch or if he sent him to Winter Ball to just improve his ratings overall, but same kind of makeup, that power kind of pitcher, lots of pitches, and it's just been nothing but kind of green across the boards. And yeah, he's kind of blown away his league over there with the the 2.84 ERA, 160 strikeouts already. I mean, he's on pace for almost 300. Just doing amazing. And these are guys that were picked later. And then, I mean, the list keeps going. That's the crazy part because I know
it's crazy how low it goes.
Yeah.
Like,
so I don't know if this must have been when the scout recognized the circle change, but it looks like the circle change would have been the pitch that he added in winter ball, which is interesting because he got a good roll on that. And it kind of shows the importance of when you do add a pitch, making sure that your pitcher has another elite pitch so that you can get that full spectrum of outcomes rather than a
So
reduced.
interestingly enough, I think the circle change was a natural pitch learned. That
Ooh.
wasn't a winter ball pitch. Because I mean, if I go through Ken Stewart, I don't have any listing there for me adding my knuckle curve.
Okay. Does it on Ken Stewart, does it just say attended winter ball?
Yep, just attended winter ball. And I know that's what I sent him for. I had to go through let me, while you guys keep talking, because there's a couple other pictures I know I sent you guys, but I'll find out exactly what he sent him there for.
Okay. Oh yeah, we do have that log on the forum. So
let me find out who he sent.
Yeah, while you're doing that, let's see. There's another one.
I'm looking for
somebody who was that the other?
You have Okada, who was part of Madison, who I was real excited about, I think, last year when we were doing podcasts. Ended up in Florida as part of the Robertson trade.
Oh, okay, Florida. I was like, I'm not seeing an Okada on.
Yeah, Okada's doing well. But then you got Gonzalo Reyna in Fargo, who isn't doing crap. He's getting crushed. But yeah.
Definitely looks exciting. And it was a slider that he learned, by the way.
Oh.
So he did send him to
so he had the random rare add naturally.
Yeah, naturally added just through the game, which does happen.
No,
and
yeah.
Came in another good thing
pretty freaking hard.
We're bringing to light some of this stuff because there are times, not just this league, that I've heard, whether you're on a Reddit forum or, talking to other people about the game where that never happens. Well, we just showed you one time it happened. So,
yeah,
I mean, and I could say it never happens
to me.
I think they forget pitches. Like, forgot fastball. Like, what do you mean?
I always said, and I'm happy to start seeing it now because I was never seeing it before. When I used to play just the Baseball Manager or Baseball Mogul, that's where I got started before I came over to OTP. And that was like one of the things, for whatever reason, that was the thing I got most excited about in the off season, was when you had one pitcher teach another pitcher their pitch. And you'd get that like pop-up window saying, hey, your pitcher taught so-and-so how to throw this pitch. I'm like, oh yeah, another pitch. And then just to never see that no OTP, I'm like, come on, man. These guys never learn to throw another pitch. They get their 3 or 4 and that's it. It's like, so I'm happy to start seeing it more often. I wish we saw more of it outside. Obviously, maybe next year, once we start diving into the development lab and seeing if we're going to utilize it and how much we're going to utilize it, maybe it'll add some of those benefits, but definitely exciting. But I guess to put a bow on this one, it just it really shows how important it is to continue to try to draft smartly later rounds and give guys chances. Because even Ken Stewart, like when I know that he's still only shown as like 3-4 star guy for OSA, but originally when I drafted him 2037, he was like 2.5. I mean, barely looking like anything that exciting. But he had the makeup, and that's when you have to start looking at all those other things. I'm looking at all those green pluses in my scouting and OSA scouting. I'm checking their actual pitching stats in the college level, seeing that consistency. You see some of those accolades, all-star, at the college level. It's like some of those little things, you got to start adding all those little things up, and and you start taking a chance on a guy, and you're going to start trying to find some of these late round gems. I know that
Well,
we haven't released it yet, but when you talk to Jason Guinea, I think, right? That's his name. Wendell, God, why?
it's one. Yeah.
I'm not even drinking that heavily yet. Come on, guys.
I'll pull him up.
Help me out here.
While you're looking
It
for
is
that,
Guinea. Come on, back me up here. Wendell Guinea.
Wendell.
I said that.
Guinea.
Winnie,
I told you.
Winnie, well, Lenny, speak up, man.
Wendell Guinea.
Use
you're right.
your
I got
outside
fucked over so
voice.
much for the first time in my life last episode. I was like, gosh, I'm being bullied everywhere.
Use your outside voice.
I am
Guinea,
classically trained, so.
But I mean, that's another guy that, exploded. And what was he? 8th round, 18th round, even, I think, is something ridiculous.
Flores for me is 12th round.
Yeah, Flores 12th round.
Yeah.
Washington was like 16th round. Guinea's 15th round. You can find guys later on. It's just you have to. I mean, yeah, let's be honest. Some of it's just damn luck. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Some of it's just like I'm picking blindly, whatever.
It's my trade philosophy. I always use give me a kicker, and that's how I got Flores.
But to your point, it does seem like the game for the random boosts like that, there's a higher likelihood for it to be a guy that has the right
makeup. He's shown that consistency already through normal play. He's already been solid at his level. His ratings might not show it, but he's already kind of been dominating and collecting all those accolades, and he's got those green pluses. And yeah, I mean, you're going to have a higher likelihood. It's not guaranteed, but shit, anything that's going to put it in favor of him trying to eventually explode for you, that's you got to take that chance, and you'll find those late round gems. Instead of, I know that a lot of it nowadays is everyone, you hit that second day and it's like, hey, I'm on auto draft and I really don't care, and whatever, here's my list of 150 nobodies and see what I get. But if you put in some effort, at least, yeah, you never know. You can walk away with the next big star who is better than anyone that's been drafted in the first round.
Yep.
Or at least performing better than some of the guys drafted in the first round.
Well, before we get into our next topic, we've got some bills to pay. So cue that commercial up, Lenny.
Yeah.
Get people all excited.
There's going to be a doozy this week, I think. I think we may go across the pond.
Ooh. Oh.
Oh, no. How am I supposed to get to the West End now?
Stand aside, ma'am. This is a job for Supercar. Is it a train? Is it a tube? Is it a bus? Yes!
Oh, thank you.
Don't thank me, ma'am. Thank Supercar. The one-day travel card. No warden, no clamp, no ticket can stop it.
We're back after paying the bills. Hopefully you all enjoyed that little commercial we found. But this next topic is relevant to where we're at league-wide right now. All-star games going on. Got a break of for everyone to kind of catch their breath before heading into the stretch here, and really want to take the time now to kind of look at the top teams around the league and just bring attention to maybe a few that generally haven't had the success that they're having right now. So, Michael,
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
no.
you. Thank you.
Lenny, how dare you? I'm going to flip it over to you.
Aggressive. So aggressive.
what I could really do is just like tell Lenny to do IL side and Michael do SL and really throw things off.
Actually, see, I was going to start in the SL. So,
All right.
aha.
Perfect.
Look at that. Already thinking ahead, and you didn't even tell me to do that.
Yeah.
I was going to go.
Mike, you're the best. You're awesome.
I'm terrible. I'm just happy because the second beverage has started. Clearly, my face is a little flush.
Yeah.
We'll get into the drink and talk after this, but
Oh yeah, gosh. Okay.
I'm going to start off in my former division, and that's the Great Lakes. I think that is one where I know, jokes aside, everyone's kind of always been saying, it's the competitive, but not really competitive. Everyone's sitting at like, for a while there, I think the top team was under 500 for a good long while. Kalamazoo has kind of distanced itself from the pack a little bit. 9 games over 500 on a 9-1 streak. So that's pretty damn good. Right now, it's tied with Florida for the best streak in the past 10 games. So they're playing pretty well. And Kalamazoo is one of those teams that in the Great Lakes, which, yeah, it's not so dramatically competitive where you have like the Rising Suns, parity of 2-3 teams at the bottom, 3 mega teams at the top. They're battling it out, and Kalamazoo is one of those teams that has kind of consistently been in that battle every single year. So they do have some good pitching going on in there, and like nobody to me who really stuck out, and like knowing that I'm going to sit here and blab about for the next 20 minutes, but just a solid team overall, consistently decently young pitchers. Everyone's kind of just performing, and right now they've been able to distance themselves from the pack. So good job over there in KZoo. And that would be at least my starting team, because like I said, that was the division I think that's probably received some of the most flack of just how it's been performing comparatively to the Desert Hills, where there's just you got to clear out winter, and then the Rising Sun, which obviously has been a big discussion here and other podcasts, just how powerful that division is. At least somebody in the Great Lakes is showing some growth right now and putting in that effort. So yeah, that's the team I'm going to start with. So kudos to Jamie over there, but who do you have, Lenny?
You don't be mean. I actually,
Not
I
being mean.
Tepe is, they went from, what he's done has been astounding. We talked about him last week too. Just to turn in that division in particular, with Aurora and Reno, to just turn it into just blowing the entire division out, which, is pretty competitive, with the exception of this team, that somebody runs. But yeah, I would go with Tempe is how far they have pushed ahead of the rest of us is quite astounding. And we were looking at his players, in the first part of the pod today, and then talking about him last week, and he's stacked.
Well,
And draft was stacked.
He's making the rest of his division make moves that are the type of moves that
risky
are risky, and you're making because there's a team that's that far ahead.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thing, because so obviously we're talking about Palm Springs there. They made some risky moves.
Yeah.
They're technically in contention for that wild card, but at the same time, they're a pretty distant.
Yeah.
That's a distant 16 third.
Back, 16 back.
That's 16 back in the division, so they're probably not going to catch up there. And they're 5 games back. No, 5 games, right? Yeah, 5 no, more than that.
Let's see.
They're down
more games than 5 in the
they're technically in a spot, but tied with 2 other teams.
Yeah. So that's going to be a competitive one for sure. And I don't know if they're even going to catch up to like that first and second wild card spot. So if you're this point of the season, we're already having such a tight race around that third spot, and kind of everyone else has kind of distanced themselves. That's going to be a difficult battle for that third final spot in the wild card.
And Desert Hills isn't the Rising Sun, but it's still not awful. Like, I mean, Scott was in the show last year.
Yeah, Scott, took it to the end.
Yeah, all the way to the end. To have that happen
to drop so significantly. I know. So we were talking about this last season, or the end of last season, I think, where obviously, or maybe even the beginning of this season of the podcast, where he obviously broke the curse because he went 2 years in a row making the playoffs, and went to the championship round. But now to have dropped, is the curse back to drop this significantly when he hasn't really changed much?
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
is.
see, mine was slow and painful. His was like quick,
Yeah.
like it just happened.
And I'm sure next year, as he
Yeah.
stays consistent and he's got a little bit more patience than the rest of us, he will miraculously be back towards the top next season.
Yeah. He is stoic. He's actually made me calm in my real life. No, he hasn't. I'm kidding.
What would Scott do?
What would Scott do?
That's what you
I
got to tell
think every
yourself.
day. Every day. What about you, Sean?
Well, before we switched over to the other side, I mean, I think obviously the Rising Sun gets a lot of attention, deservedly so. And I think in this segment, we're more so looking to kind of highlight teams that are having good seasons that maybe don't get that praise. And over, I know, the course of our podcast together, a team that's come up for their struggles a lot has been Yuma. But this year, they're in competition for that third wild card spot. They're tied for it currently. I don't know how long they can withstand it, but when you have two young pitchers like they do, if they can stay healthy, give them a shot to at least stay in contention. And who knows? Maybe they do make some moves.
Well, our first talk together, we talked about how they would fade, and they have.
Yeah.
So over the course of 4 episodes, they're still there.
Yeah, they're still there. They're still competing. Kudos to Bob, because I know that he's obviously voiced concern of just difficulties around building his team through the draft and everything. And I think some of it has actually gone from, I'm hoping, from at least from what I've seen, a little bit of a change of philosophy. It seems like he's done less of the trading, which has probably benefited him more, to just try to give his guys more of a chance and taking less risks with some of these trades and just focused on his guys and what he can get. And I think it's worked out to his benefit. And I think one of the things that we probably don't talk about enough is just the timing of other teams. I think we have brought this up probably before, but I mean, some other teams' success is really based on other teams' failures. And obviously Aurora's on a down year, Reno's on a down year. So Yuma gets to benefit a bit more. Shinseki is obviously kind of regressed, and they've kind of acknowledged that they're probably going into more of a retool, a little bit more focus on rebuild. So you got some of the big contenders changing their focuses. So that's gives the time for other teams to shine. And if, as long as you're not making overly drastic or risky moves, you have an opportunity to rise to the top. Like, the Macho Man meme from back in the day and his promo. The cream rises to the top.
Oh,
the crazy.
I'm going to have to edit that out.
I think what you should do, we should not edit that out. We should edit in Macho Man's complete promo from back in the day.
Well, now you steal the commercial. You know what? You're making things harder for me. No.
I used to be able to do a good voice, not anymore though. But
I think you should give it a shot.
No, it's
oh my God.
Now's not the time. Maybe another time. Let's move to the IL.
Before we do that quick, I did want to say, like, with Yuma, the thing that is still troubling to me is that their defense and pitching looks pretty good. They're tied for 6th in runs against, but I don't see their offense scoring enough the way it is right now. I think there's some opportunities for Bob at the deadline to maybe add there, and it might help if that's where he wants to go. But I'm not telling Bob what to do. But I definitely think there's some good pieces in his lineup, and there's a couple areas that he could probably add at positions that people have said are very easy to add at. I'll leave it at that.
Like first base. Call me, Bob.
Yeah. First base. DH.
First base. All right. There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go switch over to everyone's other favorite side, the IL. And since Michael went first for the opposite, we'll have Lenny go first.
We'll have you go first. I'm just kidding.
I'll go second.
Yeah. Man. I think it's you, Sean.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I'm not like surprised, but no, it's not you. No, I'm kidding. It is you. No, I mean, that's a really tough league. And you got Evan right behind you and Havana, who is way better than we expected. And you're playing them all the time. And you got Amsterdam, who's only 3 games under 500. So you don't ever really get a break. Florida gets a break. And Mike gets breaks just because he's lucky. And
That's
so
because I got Justin in my division.
yeah.
Shout out to Justin.
But yeah, I think it's you. Like you built something that is like you built a fortress, and that goes really great with your team name and everything. But as my dog is starting to turn into a freak. But yeah, I think it would have to be you for me. So what's your secret, sir?
I think opportunity at first.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is I think when I came into the league, there wasn't a clear-cut power in that division. For a long time, Havana had been that, but had started to fall back a little bit. Since then, they've kind of taken a few seasons and have retooled in a way to make themselves more competitive.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of times when people join a league, they think they need to dismantle the team and make it their own. And I've always kind of gone the opposite of that. I've looked at what is working and then added to that, while I, in the back, start, signing and getting prospects that fit into what I eventually want my team to look like. So I wouldn't say the way we're structured now is ideally the way I see our team in 5 years from now, but it's getting there. And I think the other aspect too is I think long-term rebuilds can work. I just don't think it's the only way to skin the cat.
Well, it's interesting because now if I can interview you for a second,
Ooh.
Because I inherited a really good team and I ran with that as far as I could with money though. And I went just through everything I could and I spent all the money I could trying to keep that thing afloat. While I thought I was building something. And now, granted, how long have you been playing the game?
Oh, geez. I think I started playing in college, so that would have been
wow. Okay.
2007.
So it's really interesting because my experiences was in my solo leagues, I think about like the universe, right? Like everything, not just one team. I think about all the stuff, right? Almost like how we were talking about with the created characters, the storyline. So I'm trying to do that. So it's really interesting how the evolution in hearing how you did that, because I actually hung on longer than I thought I would. And was more successful than I thought I'd be. With what was it, the playoffs like 3 or 4 years in a row. And then the bottom just boom, we were just bad.
Well, let's provide clarity. When did you join the league, Sean?
Right.
Because 2007 is when you probably started playing this game.
That's when I started playing the game. Yes.
Yeah, I started playing the game. I bought it in the first month of the pandemic. And I got PEBA the second month of the pandemic. So
this
Lenny,
says,
I'm just saying you took the team from 20 playoff appearances to I'm just messing with you.
No, but I think I joined I think it was right after the 2035 draft, because I know I didn't draft any of those players that were in 2035. I think 36 was the first full year, because it's saying when I go on the main screen where it kind of shows your personal info with your stats or whatever, it says I have 6 years managing, but I only did like the last month or two of that 2035 season. But
yeah, I was in 31.
Okay.
And 2 years of the playoffs, 3 years of winning, 4 years winning, 5 years winning, and then boom, it like just bottomed out. So it's really interesting to hear that. I know that's a little off topic, but I was really interested to see how you continued once you picked up a winner to keep a winner.
No, but like what the interesting thing for me, I guess, from like I didn't play online league. Like I played solo for years. Like I didn't play online leagues until let's see, it was 2007 when I really started playing the game. It was probably 2012 or 13 before I got into an online league, and I've been in that league since. I'm still in that league. These are the two, like I'm in two leagues, and that's what I kind of like about this league too, is that it's a long-standing league with owners that or GMs that have been in here that are here for the long haul, because I think not only does it make the competition better, it makes winning better, because you're competing against people that are also trying to win.
Yeah.
It's not just I mean, we probably, people can talk about it here, but there's times where you have somebody that comes in, is in there for a year and then leaves, and then just totally derails a franchise in 1 or 2 seasons, and then it's hard for
to come back.
People to take it back up.
I mean, it's amazing to think about. I started back in 2009. It's 15 years ago.
Wow.
In PEBA.
Oh wow.
15 years ago. I took a break, obviously, around the time that the league almost crumbled, but 15 years ago, that's how, plus add at least 2 years for that, for the 4 seasons I missed from the start of the league. And that's how long this league has been around. And kudos to Mike and the board before I joined it, and obviously for keeping it going, because obviously we had that dark period with just some douchebag, for lack of better terms, trying to ruin the league and ruin multiple teams and everything, and we had to recalibrate after that. But thankfully it's still going. It's a completely, I don't, you guys weren't here for the first iteration where we actually had 2 separate leagues. And I know that Dylan has talked about this before too, just when we had the LRS and PEBA running all at the same time. So we had 2 separate leagues with 2 completely separate rule sets and everything. And then we consolidated down into one league and less teams. And we're obviously in a lot healthier space now, but that, just to be in a league that's been around for so long, absolutely amazing.
I know we're getting off topic, but I think it's actually a really good one.
No, that's a great one. Yeah.
What's really cool, I think, is, and the episode hasn't come out yet, but hearing you talk to James, Sean, and then Chuck, and then having another podcast with Evan and Dylan and everybody, it's really cool to see even the new people jumping in, how invested they are already.
Yeah.
Like to hear James talk, which everybody will, is just, it's so cool to be a part of. And like, I think I've said it in the thread, every now and then we get a little bit, like everybody starts to bicker a little bit. And I was like, if I never have another winning season, I will never quit this league, because it's that you're looking for that kind of like dedication, right? Because like my entrance into the league, Bob and I would banter back and forth, right? Because I thought I was hot shit because I inherited a good team, and I could play Yuma and go get back up into first place. But now look what's happened. And that's what's so cool, because that's the real world, I'm
actually like, and this is the crazy thing. Like, I'm looking forward to our downswing. I'm tired of having to constantly scout for all these trades, trying to find guys to constantly improve with the little resources I have. I'm looking for, like, when we crumble, I'm looking forward to that. I want to start, like, I'm looking forward to the eventual rebuild and having to like just go through that process again. I went through it with Madison. I went through it with New Jersey the first time. And the fact that the league's around long enough that you can kind of go through those swings, that's, to me, like the exciting part.
Well, and I said that in the first, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mike.
No, you're completely fine.
The first one I did before.
Drinking and I'm kind.
Wow, I know. We're being polite.
As opposed to being
that's how you know we're
chaotic
both,
last time.
A little tipsy. We're starting to be polite with each other.
Go ahead.
Hey, may I speak, Mike? Thank you. I really appreciate you handing it over. That was like when I applied for, I can't remember. I just picked a team. I think it was Amsterdam at the time. Because I wanted like a losing team to build. And like we talked about it, like having Dan's team is great. I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be awesome. And but there's a little part of me that was disappointed. And then when the downturn happened, there was a part of me that was like, man, I'm really bad at this game. And now I really think I'm bad at this game. But I'm having so much fun trying to find that way back, and like there's no pressure to like be good. Like I don't care. Like, I mean, I care, but if they don't pan out, they don't pan out. The only thing that really pisses me off is Joe Riley, and that's it.
Those seasons are interesting in their own way because you get to approach everything in a completely different method, completely different mindset.
Yeah.
It's definitely more interesting, and I look forward to that because like right now this where I have to like all I have is draft picks, so that's like what I have to trade, and I have to trade it, and then I know I think Dan might have said it during the actual draft. He's like, "Do you even like coming to day one?" I'm like, I miss all the fun big names. I get excited when I hit on somebody, and like Ken Stewart on the 6th round or something. But I mean, I'm looking forward to where I can maximize trades, and it's a boring. I wouldn't say it's boring because it's fun to be able to obviously be competitive, but it's a completely different way to play. So
well, and I find myself on the game now more.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to figure everything out.
Yeah.
And like I said in the last episode, even though 6 drinks in, I worked really hard to be this bad. Like, I'm really happy that everybody thought that the pitcher I got was the best player that you could have had.
It's not easy.
I've been sitting here giggling, and it's not necessarily at either of you or what you said, but it's more of a realization that I just came to, and it's Lenny. When we edit this, I want a single screen just on Michael for this portion of it.
Okay, well, I can make that happen. Hang on.
Oh, hold on. Let me not look like
now he's got
right now.
We have pinned this.
Let me button up here.
I don't know. This is getting better. This is
all right. It's pinned on him. Go ahead.
Okay, so there's some major news in the MLB world this week, and I'm just sitting here looking at Michael, and I'm like, you kind of look like a Major League Baseball umpire with your gear on right now. You've got the black with the baby blue color, and then the hat. If you don't look at it really close, it's black, like an umpire hat. The MLB logo is always white. And I'm like, are you trying to honor Angel Hernandez for retiring this week?
Not at all. I'm just
Poor judgment.
I'm just drinking.
You're lining up perfectly.
Angel Hernandez, complete garbage ump, by the way, but
he's terrible. But I loved him, and everybody knew him because he was terrible.
Exactly. He was like a household name.
Whenever he was behind the plate, you're like, here we go.
Universally hated. It's perfect. It works out.
Oh man, that was great.
Let's highlight one more team. There's one team I want to talk about, and that's we knew was coming, but I'm not sure if it was.
We're gonna have to go one more team if you're not gonna highlight the team I need because we need to talk about him. So go for it.
Okay, I was gonna do Charleston. Is that who you were?
Yeah.
Okay. Where's Scott when you need him, so I can kind of rub it in his face just a little bit.
Statsman section.
Where's the statsman?
But yeah, what Charleston's doing, it's all being done by their pitching staff. It looks like.
So, I don't mean to cut you off because I've had too much to drink at this point. I have a load. I'm in my 40s. I don't go out as often as I used to. So clearly just a couple drinks, couple heavy drinks, and I'm like I'm there. But Charleston, they're performing the way I expected to be better. Obviously, they're pushing Florida a little bit. It's kind of the Tempe situation in the Desert Hills. You got your one team at the top, and you've got your kind of middle pack, which is mostly Kentucky and Charleston. But Charleston, comparatively to how they used to do, are completely flipped.
They flipped.
Maybe doing much better. And I mean, they're going to realistically win 80, 90 games, which puts them into that playoff bracket. Right now, they're obviously fighting with a tight race and a very tight, similar to the SL, very tight wild card for that third spot. Realistically, even that second spot, there's a little bit more parity, I'd say, probably in the IL. So you can get there's probably still a battle to be had, at least for the second and third spot. But to completely turn around that way, and they're going to probably be 30, even potentially 40 wins over last year, if not more. I'm trying to What the
Yeah,
heck
hold
did they
up
win
here.
last year? I'm sorry. So they won 68 last year. To be 30, potentially 30 games over last year is incredible. That's a huge swing. And I will say that's despite the fact that they are still doing some of their little pitching, rotational, fumbling, mixing around, which I don't agree with, but they are still doing a little bit of that, and they're doing this well. If they just played their damn guys,
No, they'd
they
be
could
in a
be even
guaranteed well.
closer to Florida and probably not be fighting so difficultly for that third spot. But at this point, we can see a potential 20+ year drought end with at least a playoff appearance, which is pretty significant for a team has been building as long as them. So yeah, I'm excited to see them doing so well, and I still think they have a lot of prospects yet to bring up. I wish that they, were still a little bit more consistent with some of their pitching options and not playing some of those rotational games. But even with that said, they are in the fight for a playoff position and potentially going to can win 90+ games, which is a huge turnaround.
Yeah.
One that I don't think Scott would have thought was imaginable at that time when we previously talked about it.
Yeah. And the pitching is carrying them, but they're hitting too. They're not, I mean, it's coming from me. So I'm just like, wow, that's not terrible. I really like to have that. But it's not awful.
Yeah, I mean, you got people like Michael Nunez, which is 23 years old.
Yeah.
Pretty solid guy. Maurice Page, which is actually a guy that I've reached out about previously in the past when I was looking for potentially a third base option. Another solid player. Shiro up there at the top of the lineup, playing pretty well. So
and they're in the top 10 in all batting categories except for hits.
Yeah, this is a team, like, to me, if you took what Hartford was not able to do, I think Charleston has done better, where they have that elite pitching, but they actually have some solid to decent batting around it as well.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that's been holding Hartford back, because they had that one magical year. They had the absolutely knockout pitching, and all props to Dan for putting that together. But at the same time, I think he just didn't focus enough on some of his hitting aspects, and that's obviously hurt him in the long run, where I think Charleston has delayed obviously and long enough to that kind of try to address both sides of the offense, defense, pitching there. I don't even know what to call it at this point. Ooh, drinks. But yeah, he's making it work. You do not edit this out, Lenny.
Oh no. Trust me, I'm keeping all this.
But yeah, good job for Charleston. Overachieving, not overachieving. From my aspect, he's achieving as high as I thought he would be at this point. Overachieving if Scott was here. And we keep bringing up Scott because he's not available for us tonight, but obviously he's in our thoughts. So I know he would probably been excited about how well they are doing, despite the fact that he was kind of negative on them to begin with.
No, that's
and please, somebody else talk, because I'm going to.
No, that was the coin flip. That was the coin flip. Was Charleston.
One quick question for you: if you were Charleston, and you have a player like this Frazier,
it's gonna be a good question. I can tell.
McElraith.
Mm-hmm.
Who? What?
He's a AAA outfielder, top 5 prospect.
This
looks
really
like he's got some room to develop still, but he appears to be an above average power hitter.
Yep.
Would you consider at this point, even though he only has it looks like 29 games at the AAA level, would you consider possibly bringing him up to help with that playoff run, or do you just
he's almost
see where things fall?
So he's there.
He's on their AAA team.
Yeah. Let's see what they got going on.
So I'm thinking he's a left fielder. This Wilson Guerrero, who's batting 195, is a left fielder.
I'd bring him up. Unless you think about things like, I want him to be rookie of the year. But no, I'd bring him up because he's making a push. Because you got all your other options other than Nunez are not doing it. So what do you have to lose? Because you can drop him and bring him back. If he doesn't do it, you can drop back down.
Yeah,
And he's developed.
yeah, it would be very hard for me to not bring him up, but at the same time, it's like I think you have to look at the trade market and see what veteran players are available if you can lowball and get one as well. But I think with what you're building there, the whole point is at some point you're going to compete. So how long? I guess you have to weigh how long are you going to leave McElwraith at AAA? Are you going to play the game again next year where you don't bring him up for the first couple of weeks so you can get one more year of control, or what do you do? I know what I would do. He would have already been up a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, he's actually shredding in AAA when he wasn't really in AA. So he brought him up, I think, just because, and he's proven it there quickly. I just keep moving him up.
Well, I know, this is a hot topic and in this game, but you have a lot of people that say you have to get a certain amount of games at every level and move your prospects up that way. I think there's some truth to that, but I also think there's truth to not challenging your prospects enough and they become stale and complacent. And his expectation now is playing in the majors. That's changed from what it was earlier in the year. So that's something that I look at is what the player's expectation is. Right now, his morale is great, so it doesn't appear to be really hurting him too much, but his role on team is unhappy, which I believe is attributed to not being in the majors right now. So
yeah, well, it would actually, me bringing him up would be going against my philosophy, but I've never had a prospect actually pan out that was going to be able to do it. So, yeah, I would move up.
I'm just kind of looking at some of his other ones that look like they're going to be great prospects, but yeah,
Graham Manning. Why are we not talking about Graham Manning?
I mean,
all the joy about McElwraith or McElwraith. You got Graham Manning, 19 years old,
and there's another 9 center field. So people are talking
9 center field, 19 years old,
and AAA,
destroying
and hitting 342. So why are you bringing both up?
Why are we not just come on?
You got
so my only defense on this one would just be hoping that contact gets to 6.
Yeah.
Once that happens, then I think you bring him up.
Yeah, a 5 contract.
Realistically, I'd probably keep him down too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're trying to push this, because his center field, I don't know if you pull up his center field right now, he's actually doing terrible. So that would be the only. Go ahead, Lenny.
Oh no, is he dropping the ball?
I mean, look at just contact wise, 3 versus a 5 guy.
This is one of those filler guys that really shouldn't be playing to begin with. So it's like, to me, I would have brought him up just for that reason. But yeah, I would probably still, if you can stretch him out and give him some more time in AAA to develop. Yeah, I would wait to let him grow. But
man,
comparatively, that's why it's like, I'm telling you, Charleston will be scary. Despite whatever little games.
They're building in the same way.
Yeah, they're a scary, scary team. Once they finally decide to play everybody that's ready, they will be a scary team.
It'll be nice Florida. I mean, move a little bit, and then that's nothing against that, but it would be nice to see Florida not at the top.
I think my thing with them is that they need to be, in my opinion, focused on moving that budget up as fast as possible. And they're at a point now where they can win. So the easiest way to move your budget up is putting more butts in the seats. And then they're, I think, 400,000 off from surpassing what their year-long total was last year in ticket sales. So if you can do anything to secure that 3rd wild card spot and get some extra playoff revenue that way, I think I think if you're gonna, start calling guys up and you don't want to get into that trading bullets in the gun for a rental type guy, think that's what you got to do. I don't,
Yeah,
as much as,
they
yeah,
got talent.
in an
So-
ideal world, you want Manning to develop a little bit more. If you probably compare him to the rest of the league center fielders,
I'd say
he's right.
top 10 for sure.
He's, yeah,
Maybe
top 10
higher.
center fielder. And I believe he still would be eligible for winter ball because we're far enough along in the season that he wouldn't be getting like a full year to
Yeah.
make him not eligible. So I believe with him being 19, he probably was drafted as a high schooler. Yep. So this upcoming winter ball would be the first one that he could actually attend. So I don't know, maybe use the hitting one on him to kind of round out some of these areas where he's got, two for gap power, one for home run, one for I there, and then another two for avoid K. If you send him to the winter ball for hitting there, that probably makes him more than ready by that time. And then you're still getting the boost of adding another guy to your current squad now. I don't know. Would you guys do the hitting with him, or would you look at making him an even better center fielder? I know
Manning?
Yeah. I mean, he's
Oh,
elite
a
right
9
now,
center
but
field,
you could
I
also
would go out to hitting.
Yeah.
Because the 9 center field is better than 95% of the league.
Yeah. I agree with Lenny 100%. Just I would try to boost his hitting, get him up there as soon as possible. Which, okay, so 20 years old, that's still
opening day 20-year-old.
incredible.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting
Percent.
here fearing that this guy's gonna like burn
Yeah.
out by the time he's 24 and be useless. Because that's just my luck with some of these premium positions. I know I've talked about it before, where it's like center, shortstop, center field. I'll have a guy for like 2-3 years and they'll completely crumble and break their legs and be useless and
Yeah.
shortly thereafter. But yeah, I would try to get him up even at 20 years old, even if he peaks early. Defensively, at least he has the bat. Even if he's not the long-term answer, he's the answer now.
Yep.
To just get him up there.
And it looks like his minor league numbers defensively are pretty
they're-
darn good. So,
Yeah.
which the reason why I always like to look at that is because there's times where a guy might look like he's got everything you want, but for some reason they just they don't put up the defensive numbers that you would expect. They've got all the intangibles, but for some reason it takes time. I know I've got shortstop on my team, Gallo, however you want to pronounce it.
I can't wait for that episode.
I mean, it's a double L, so isn't that like a Y in Spanish?
What?
Keep
The,
going.
the last name, the last name Gallo is Gallo.
Gallo?
Mike Gallo. But the
I mean,
but in Spanish, I
I've
believe
had
the
a
L
lot of Gallos growing up through school. They've all said Gallo. I'm just saying. I think you might be right. But at the same time,
they've Americanized
unless all these little children while I was growing up don't know how to pronounce their own name, which could be realistic. I'm aging.
Well, I know there's like a MLB player, Joey Gallo.
Gallo, yeah.
So that's how I assume. But
there's Mike Gallego. Remember him?
Yeah.
The A's back in the 80s. Anyway.
But yeah, that gets into the Y, Gallego.
Okay.
Because it wasn't Gallego.
You're gonna explode Mike's brain, which is a big way.
I'm just waiting. Where are we going? What's next?
Idea.
No, that guy.
So Graham Manning is really good, and I'm jealous.
He is. And Frazier McAllirithian.
Yeah,
whatever his name is.
That one too, Mike. Yep.
Good guy.
Gordon Jr.
He can hit the cover off the ball for sure.
He's a good Scott.
Long ball.
Low intelligence though, with no personality, but he's a straight shooter.
Oh, you me or oh?
Oh no, not you.
Oh, you have a personality.
You betcha I do. Plus 10. All right.
All right. Well.
All right. This is where we have to answer for our sins. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah. What did happen last time? I mean, did you forget that the camera was on and you just kept talking and drinking, or?
So, I can tell you the beginning part of what went wrong, as my dog is whining in the back because he's embarrassed of what I did. I only hit record, and this isn't even the biggest problem we had. I only hit record on the multicam, the voice activated bounce back and forth. The biggest travesty other than the topics and the conversation we were having sometimes, was that unlike you, Sean, Mike forgets that screen share is on. And all you get to see is a mouse cursor moving uncontrollably.
I was circling stuff. I'm just saying,
you were
like,
literally.
I'm just okay.
It was 45 minutes of actually some good stuff in there, thinking about like our situation. But all we had to look at was Mike like circling things.
Okay, so once again, in that 40 plus range, I'm sitting here, clearly spent way too much time on this damn game. I'm sitting here just circling shit. I'm all excited. Look at this player. Let me try to make this easier for everybody. I'm making a fool of myself. Like I said, I don't go out as consistently as I used to. That was what my 20s were for, where I would go out way too often. So 2 heavy beverages. I'm haven't eaten yet. I'm a little loopy. So I'm sitting here circling stuff, not remembering that I'm screen sharing, going off on my tangents, looking at other players while we're talking about players.
But in our defense, I think the main thing that happened is we were having the time of our life.
Oh yeah. It was great.
And like I knew we were in trouble. And going back and watching the footage, and we said this out
singing.
I was embarrassed for me, but and I even said this, because I had to do something, so I came up with the commentary underneath. But when Scott fell off, we were done. We added a good 20 minutes of nothing, and it's still entertaining because we're still like in it. We're like in it, and we think we're like, yeah, we're driving this. Like, there's a moment when you start talking about the Mark Wahlberg film.
I thought I was so coherent.
Oh,
you edited a good. We went like 2.5 to 3 hours.
Yeah, I took a good 45 minutes out.
Yeah, we were tangent after tangent.
I think sometimes we forgot. And the funny thing is after it was all, I actually think we left it in. We're like, we could keep going for another 45.
Yeah, I could have gone for another hour. Just
it's not good TV, but so I think Sean, when you left, it was like the inmates had control of the asylum.
So basically,
I was excited to take over.
I was like the Joker, and I just walked by every single part of asylum thing, and just opened the door as I left.
To the car. Yeah. I was like, Dad's gone, watch this. And Uncle Scott's just like, let's do it. Stats man, like I got so excited just to say the words. And then we didn't even get stats for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
There were no stats.
It was absolutely great, and it was absolutely needed.
Oh,
that was the best part.
And I think what all the dozen of us that are watching these really need to know how, like, during the editing process when I would send things over, how much laughter there was just watching it. Like, just going, wow.
You did an amazing job adding in, first off, fixing and trying to make something out of me just, the whole camera situation to begin with, first off, and then making something out of it when I'm sitting there staring at the same guy for a good 20 minutes. And
when you act
circling random things on there.
The only thing you could do sometimes to fix when you're behaving like a complete jackass on camera is you just gotta make fun of yourself.
Oh yeah.
For that game. That's why I was like, I had to go back. Like I started editing like halfway through and then went back and finished it, because halfway through I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to rip us. And of course,
I think it was like halfway through. I'm like, add the Riley counter.
It was great. And the show Riley counter.
Yeah.
I was thinking of, what was it? Hot Shots Part 2?
I completely melted down. There was a moment where I was like, I was not in pocket. I was out of pocket.
This is therapy. Remember?
Yes.
Oh, you think?
One of my favorite parts was Scott singing, though. That was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I need to talk about Joe Riley with just my therapist.
And he's not that just give him time. He's not. You got to take the Scott approach and just he will recover. And
to watch Scott try to tell me to be calm when Scott wasn't calm. It's also really funny, which means if Scott isn't calm and I'm more not calm than Scott. I mean, we're pushing me into like my like Apple Watch is gonna be like, is someone chasing you? Do we need to call 911?
Yeah.
Like my heart rate must have been like 145. But yeah, things went great, Sean, when you left.
Sounds like it. It was enjoyable to watch. And I know once we get Scott back, we'll be probably recreating it to an extent.
Yeah, yeah. It's part of the thing. I think it's a thing. And Mike is proving that he really wants to keep it going that way.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
fun.
not far behind you, man.
I'm good. I'm good. There's nothing
Well,
left.
hey,
I'm good.
thank you both for
Yeah.
taking the time tonight to do this. It was great.
That's why we have him. He was like,
It's-
look, you two idiots, right back in.
It's great. It's great that we were able to get Angel Hernandez to join us. Fresh out of retirement.
I'm gonna,
the PEBA world.
that's good. We're gonna put up like, never mind, we got it. I'll save it.
Oh, yeah.
Take us home.
We'll,
Take us
we'll
home.
edit it in. It's all
Take
good.
us home.
So yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.